So, why are you here? What's going on?
You know what? I have 3 classes they asked me to put together for them. And I'm really excited about the classes. They're done. But the whole educational thing, back in the days when we were going and we were doing them,
Right.
they were in the big rooms.
Yeah.
And
kind of
now,
like captive audiences.
captive audience, big screen, very dramatic.
Right.
And now it's like they're squeezing the education to death. And we're like live, and there's, you'd be in rooms, Ted, with 60 to 100 people. Now they have seat, maybe if you're lucky, for like 30 people. And it's around all these other booths. It's a lot of distractions. It's not what it used to be, and I hope they do something with it. This year was a first-time test.
Probably experimenting with something, right?
It was
Just want
an
to make sure, like,
experiment.
some of the maybe figuring out the shorter form educational projects are going to work, and more people will be interested in that. I mean, it's hard running a show like this.
Remember
it's got to be.
back in the time when people paid for the classes?
Yeah.
A lot of people showed up because they came to the show for the good education.
Yeah, and they did come to the show for the good education, and I used to go to every educational, thing, especially when heckle you.
Yes.
And stuff. But I think that it needs to evolve. It needs to change. It needs to be a little bit more catered towards the actual services, because I don't really care about sealers anymore. I've learned enough about sealers to, at these educational things to be.
Right. The key thing, folks, you need to know is that Ted doesn't care that much about sealers anymore because stone.
Yeah.
And that is the key of what the stone can do,
Right.
how many times, how long you put the sealer on. Everybody's coming out with sealers. They're basically the same. We don't believe the warranties, pretty much. But for the most part, most people in the stone business don't know stone. And for you to be bored with sealers, I understand, because you understand the stone, geology, installations itself. So you're asking other questions that may be harder than the obvious.
I think
one
people
of you
come
didn't see
to
it.
these things all the time. We got a camera sitting right behind you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. Mark DeFesco,
I
ladies
think-
and gentlemen.
I think people come to these all the time, and they're going to these seminars year after year after year.
Yeah.
You see the same faces all the time, and they're still going to the same seminars because they're yearning for information, but they're not getting a variety. They're not getting other points of view. They're not learning about, like, literally repair or restoration, or like the things that could kind of elevate their level of knowledge. Sealers are good. To have a seminar on sealers once a year is fine, but you have to also add. Yeah, there has to be even in, you go to college, or you go to a school, or you go to a trade school. You're always elevating. They're not teaching you the same thing every class. They're teaching you some new
I
stuff.
love still to take geology classes.
Yeah.
And the reason why I like geology classes is because I freshen up.
Yeah.
I still learn stuff that's new. There's new stuff coming into this country.
Right.
The quarries are doing funny stuff with the material.
So that's the
things
new
that are
stuff.
happening. Yeah.
New novelty. I think people are really. I always sell it that way. People are buying novelty. People want new. People want different. So if you want to bring people back into the education, or you want to bring the education up to another level, we have to figure out a way to give them a little bit of novelty.
Yeah. Well, as I see this education here in the show, it's not what it used to be, and it's shrinking. I'm very disappointed because I worked real hard at putting these classes together this year, and I don't think it worked out as to best expectations. But what you're doing here with the Sureshine Network is really taking this to a whole new level, and that's what's really cool, because you're actually able to reach thousands of more people than you ever would here. and because of
Yeah.
your background, who you are, they're going to listen. But the nice thing is that you have provided this, and you're providing the best of education.
Yeah, we're trying to. I mean, we didn't have a lot of people we were live streaming Cameron's videos or Cameron's demos yesterday. We didn't have a lot of people at the show watching them, just because there's a lot of like different things going on.
Yeah.
But one of he did an Inferno demo on Tuesday, and it's on the video has been seen 200 times. So we had 200 people watch his demo at the show, but they're not even here. So yeah,
But
that's
they
the
can
key.
go back to reference it too.
And they can constantly be, exactly.
That's the biggest thing. Is sometimes we get sidetracked with life going so fast right now. But being able to go back and reference it, like I'm leaving early today, and Cam says, "Yeah, I'm doing the porcelain kit at 1 o'clock." And I said, "Well, I've got an earlier flight, but it's on Ted's thing." Yeah, okay, well, I'll go back and watch it, which was really cool.
And the porcelain thing is at over there.
He's doing it at 1. I thought he was doing it at 1.
Yeah, he wants me to. He doesn't. I don't know if he wants me to film that, but I'll try. I'll get it on. If not, I'll get another one on. Porcelain thing's pretty important to me too.
A tripod.
Oh, he did do the porcelain polish the other day. We got that. Yeah.
Whatever you can do. The thing is, this network is kind of what I would say cutting edge.
Yeah.
It's very new. You're breaking ground. So if the critics out there go, quit whining, all right? This is like total breakthrough. It's going to get better every single year, but for what he has right now, just say thank you. Hey, I'd like to talk about the last project we did with the glue and
repairs.
Yeah. Well, what we did, folks, is we did a whole section which will be out the second quarter of
the
this
design
year.
manual, right?
And it is glue and adhesive section for the NSI design manual. And there was a little section in glues, but there was not really nothing. And being that fabricators really is kind of unregulated and kind of like the Wild West, and you and I are seeing so many mistakes, failures, mistakes, stupid stuff.
Yeah. Some through negligence and some through just ignorance.
Yes, and they don't care.
Yeah.
With this section now, once it comes out, there's going to be no wiggle room for these guys to make these mistakes, because we had.
Yeah, we took a stand on a lot of things.
We did. We had. Yeah. Oh, yes, we did, and we definitely took care of polyester.
And a lot of that went through. A lot of that went
oh yeah, because you said
the board.
Hey, how much do I want to go after him? And I just said, take the leash off, Fred.
Yeah.
I mean, Ted, go after the polyesters, because it isn't a real good long-term thing. So that's what you did. So we did Bonstone and Tenax with charts
did
and everything.
Phenomenal job of that.
Yeah, because it was cool, because having Filippo and having Paul was like iron sharpening irons and competitors. Yeah. So once they kicked ass and they set the pace, all of a sudden not paying custom building products on grouts and den sets looked at it and went, can we do that? We're like, yeah. So they had to catch up, which made it really, really fast. And during that time, everybody's looking at the pace of how things are going. And then here's Ted McFadden doing what he does, writing. He's writing. Ted and I are talking about, well, not sure what I want to do, and give me guidelines. So I give you some, said, here, that's
you helped a lot. I mean, you really made my
well, you just, I think,
refine my
your head
direction.
So many things. I said, okay, here are the problems with the repairs, and you just ran with it.
Yeah.
And then months later,
Cameron,
you come up with this thing, and we're all looking at it with our jaws dropped, going, oh my God. And Ted's like, well, I can do another 15 pages or something. And we're like going, and it was really cool. The thing, folks, that's really important here is in this glue and adhesive section, Ted McFadden wrote the most comprehensive field repair section, and there is nothing like it in the entire world, never published. Okay, there are things that are close that were done before, but as far as strategically and placement and how to do it and everything, it's an incredible guide. And we had worked together
It was an honor to
on
do
the
it.
restoration section a couple years
2016 we released
back.
that.
Right, and that came out. That was really cool because that will probably hold for another 10 years or so.
Yep. Yeah.
Great standards. You and Cam were on it with Stu, with a bunch of other people and stuff. And it was a great section, and it holds its own. This one that you're doing is great.
It can be expanded though. There's
It
a
can
lot
be
more
expanded,
to do,
but
right?
what you wrote in that field repair is where a lot of people will scratch their heads and go, I'm not sure, how do I go here, how do I do this? And you were very explicit in your directions.
Yeah.
And if you can't understand your directions that you did, then they just need to drop back 14 and punt because it was really good.
I tried to create a methodology on how to evaluate the repair.
Yeah.
And that would basically draw them into choosing the glue, choosing the method, choosing the method of everything that needs to be done based on the methodology of like evaluating the repair by conditions, exterior, interior, weather, wind,
And one of the things that you had a beef on, and so did a lot of other people, but nobody really wanted to say anything, was this whole thing of polyesters and certain glues that people think are really good quality. And
they call them epoxy.
They're garbage.
Yeah.
They shrink, they discolor, they're not UV stable. But I think we actually got a good hammer on that one.
We have the benefit of having the kind of quality adhesives to do our repairs now that we didn't have 10, 15 years ago.
Oh, not even close.
Yeah, 10, 15 years ago, polyesters were kind of more on, like some of the polyesters actually, even the clear ones, were kind of a cutting edge, Yeah. We were like so thankful we're getting a clear polyester or this and that. And as time moved on and we saw them yellowing and we saw them failing and we saw just problems with them, a lot of these companies, like Bonstone and Tenax and some of these other companies that saw this happening, that created products that can withstand the weather.
Interesting thing.
Now that we have
Bonstone
that,
the first one to come out with urethane acrylates?
I don't know. I think Bonstone. Glacier was the first urethane I have ever used, but actually Last Patch Limestone is a urethane, and that's a.
Now they got it in different colors.
Yeah, that's the first one I actually ever used, and then I used the gel, and then I used the Glacier because Glacier's more recent
on countertops for seams
for expansion,
and contraction. Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah. I'll sample it with putting it on cardboard, and then I'll just bend the cardboard, and they're like, what?
Yeah. The Tenax stuff is great too. The Glaxis.
Yes.
I use a lot of that because of the colors. They have all these subtle whites and subtle clears, natural spring, and then they have colors like for black granite and they have one called slate for tropic browns and things like that, and basalt for blue pearl. Like they almost match perfectly. Although the Bonstone charcoal color Glacier is absolutely perfect for blue pearl.
Yeah.
So they harden, they're easy to sand, they hold up, they're urethanes. So those two, I think those two companies are really on par when it comes to urethanes.
Yeah.
But Bonstone has like these people that I think that are a little bit closer to the job. They're closer to the end user.
Yeah.
They can make decisions and pivot much more quickly than a larger company like Tenax or something. But both products are really high quality.
With the Last Patch Limestone has really helped because a lot of limestone is outside, and the last thing you want to do is see where you patched a year later.
Oh man, I patched the wall of a spa on the ocean. It was like just crumbling, and we were able to get a perfect color. We put it in there with a putty knife. It bonded to it, it expanded, we sanded it off, it's completely invisible, and it's lasted about 6 years.
Yeah, and the thing that's interesting
Ridiculous.
is that everything around that patch is going to erode except for the patch.
Yeah.
Duh.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah,
Cool.
but it matches. You know, there is a little bit of cracking around. I see that client maybe once every couple of years.
But when you
She's not
have,
ready to have it fixed yet.
Expansion and contraction is going to happen when you have a limestone or something like that against the ocean. You know, the ocean, the air is always going to win.
We used a densifier on it too.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, we do what we can. And people want to put a material next to weather that it's really not designed to do. It's designed to be inside a mountain. So
Right. Yes. The densifier, though, you're talking the Faber?
Limestone Densifier was a favor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great
the
product.
thing that's nice about densification came from the concrete industry, is really eliminating a lot of problems,
Right.
cracking and hardness. And it will harden. You can change the structure of that stone. It's also really good for filling up the pores and telling fungus and other biological elements,
Right.
you know, no vacancy, you can't live here anymore. So you're not going to get that kind of growth because that food source for them is the limestone. But when you fill it up, they can't really grow.
Right.
So which is really cool. So it makes it a lot easier to clean yearly, if really hardly anything. You cut it down almost 98%.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it really does well.
And then if you like a lot of those super porous limestones on the coast, actually will densify them. And densification is a little bit of a sealer, but I don't seal them with impregnators anymore. Exterior, I do all the interiors, and I'll do like a round of barbecue, but I don't seal them with impregnators. I just let them breathe, and they don't get moldy. You know, I see a lot of sealers just holding in.
A lot of times when I'm doing precast limestone, I'll give them the option to densify and seal.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they go with the densification.
Yeah.
And the problem with that for me is it actually does everything it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
And so I really don't get to seal.
Right.
And it does last for pretty much ever.
Yeah, and that's what we
it's
as
like,
restorers.
you know,
that's
you
what we
talk
want
about
to
people
do.
that have 10, 15, 25 year guarantees. That's a bunch of malarkey, folks, because all they do is give you more product that fails if they don't throw you under the bus for applying it first. But the densifiers,
It's always an applicator issue with those.
it's
When a
not
floor is
necessarily.
warranted.
I've seen stuff.
I mean, no, not and always an applicator issue in terms of like from the manufacturers.
Yes.
That if you're going to do a 15-year sealer on a floor,
Why do you want to be away from your client for 15 years?
Well,
you want to come back
you
and
can
see
apply.
them
You
every
can
3
do
to
a
5
15-year
years.
sealer, but it doesn't mean that you aren't going to go back to do restoration and fix things. And I never wanted to sell something that I couldn't stand behind. And so I've been removing a lot of those 15-year sealers and not sealing at all. And customers have been a lot happier. And, well, I'm not seeing them. You know, they're not having any problems, you know. So
One thing, again, going back to the
just on exteriors. I mean, interiors you got to do.
If you're near the ocean or you're outside, I do like densification. It is permanent. It will always last because it becomes the material. And that's the real cool thing.
Yeah, it's super important to, but you got to think long term, right?
But see, that's also interesting that you're not sealing, whereas I would look at it and go, at least seal it once really, really well. But but the question is, when you talk about some of these sealers, in general, some of them, they're siloxane, and siloxanes work well on some stones, and they don't work well on others. But there are some long-term sealers out there that have terrible repellency.
Yeah, but they also, what they do is they have terrible repellency on the surface, so they don't necessarily prevent like a lot of the stains. And when they do, they just basically say that you can remove them with degreaser or whatever. But what they do is they go in and they fill all those little pores of the limestone, right? Really talking limestone, because limestone is a super popular exterior surface that everybody thinks you need to seal. But it goes and fills all the little pores of the limestone, and then water can't come up through it from below, and it gets stuck in the stone. And that's what, as you say, there's a food source in there, and it starts to
erode from the bottom.
And mold grows like in that little area, like between, and so you end up with seeing all these little black like lines around where a lot of people think that it's because it's unsealed. It's actually the sealer that's causing these things to happen. So what we've been doing is we've been going in with dicone to remove the siloxane sealers, and then ammonium bifluoride-based cleaners to remove the fluoropolymers used. Because a lot of times by the time we get there, it's already been serviced 4 or 5 times, and it's been sealed 4 or 5 times. Everybody says you got to seal it. So I go in there and I say, let's just clean this thing out.
Enough.
Yeah.
For instance, I had this one client, and I asked her, I said, we're going to the house, and she says,
keep going. That's good. You're good.
I said, do you want me to seal the front entry? And she goes, no, I got blah, blah, blah. I got a 15-year warranty. I said, really? And she says, yeah. And she goes, I don't have to worry about anything for 15 years. And I said, you have a marble, polished. I said, I would have not sealed it, told you how to take care of it, and given you forever.
Yeah, I mean, you have to refinish it eventually.
Again, the stone.
Yeah.
If you got a polished marble, it's more going to etch than it is going to stain. It's in an entryway. Unless you're at the bottom of a hill and you don't have drainage from that hill, water's going to come into the slab, move laterally, and it's going to have its way with you.
That's that. It's kind of the function of what we do, though. Like we started the conversation off with education and how we're trying to get the education out there. You want to do better, but every time we walk into a customer's house, we're educating, and I always I'm thinking long term. I want the customer to get the highest value possible from our services long term. Whether they see me again in 5 years or 10 years, I want them to get the best value I can provide. And so, I will tell them the sealer companies want you to seal more, right? But and they're working hard. There's great sealer companies out there, and there's definitely need. There's a huge need for sealers. I mean, they probably save the business, in a lot of cases when it comes to the granite business and stuff. But now we have to think long term, and you have to let the clients know as you're educating them during the sale. I mean, MB has this thing, or Maria Cipolloli used to say, education before any sale, right?
Yep.
And that's really been the philosophy of all good restoration companies over the last 25 years.
At best, only retain 25% of what they were taught the day before.
Yeah.
The thing about your network is...
Yeah, we have online training.
You can go back to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's your library.
Right.
And the thing is there wasn't many libraries really up until, there are the MIA, which is now the National Stone Institute.
Right.
They had their libraries, but I think where you're taking this is
really
going to be cool, because theirs is an all-in-dimensional stone, and there's many facets of it. What you're really narrowed on is restoration, maintenance, and education of that, which means you get the homeowners, which means that is homeowner is king, because if the homeowner's not spending money, the contractors are sitting home, and they can still fix it. So, incredible market going forward. You're doing good when it's good, and you're still doing good when the economy's not. So you have that great advantage that no one else has, and that's cool.
Yeah, homeowners can always find great contractors to take care of them at the SureshineServiceNetwork.com. You know, it's always there.
Well, and those are people that who are reliable.
Yeah.
If because
why aren't you on it?
I don't know, Ted. I'm sometimes
You're too busy already?
I'm very, very busy. And when you always ask me to do stuff, I'm saying, I'll get to it. And then I get sidetracked with a lot of projects. And I can't. My heart's there.
Your heart's there. You already endorsed it, so I appreciate it so much.
Oh, shit. And then I see you again, you go, hey. And I'm like, oh, sorry, I forgot. But what you have now is really cool. It's, I think it's going to be...
Can only get better, right?
A mark that people are going to have to hit. And they'll try to do it. But the fact is I think with who you are in the business and the trust that people's gotten with you over time, it's going to be hard for anybody to catch up.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think so too, but I hope people try because it'll only make me better, you know.
Yeah, iron sharpen iron. That's kind of what happened during that whole committee thing.
Yeah.
You know, as everybody was working and all of a sudden people were pulling this out, and you're like, oh shoot, I got to catch up. You know, and everybody's going at such a fast pace that all of a sudden the 2-year project was done in 11 months.
And the collaboration, it was just really high level collaborators.
Yeah.
I mean, really, some of the best people I've ever worked with.
When you have all these people of great talent in the committee.
And no egos.
Yes, and this is what really worked with the restoration and maintenance thing that we did years ago.
Yeah.
Is you have all this talent.
Yeah.
And everybody just leaves their ego at the door and gets down to it, rolls up their sleeves and gets dirty. And you know what? It's hard to find, but we did it that time, we did it this time. And the other committees now?
In 10 minutes, join us to celebrate this exciting.
We're at the Stone Show, ladies and gentlemen, so there's
Pause for a brief
interruptions
commercial.
every once in a
Mark
while.
DeFesco doesn't walk in front of the camera again. But anyway, but yeah, to have that much talent and collaborate and to do it for a cause and put everything aside, because we do have our...
Well, we all like each other too.
Well, we do, but it's easy sometimes
we want to see each other
to go,
succeed.
well, I want this, and you have your agenda, and somebody's got their agenda. And to be able to make it all work.
Yeah.
Because there are other committees right now, Ted, that I'm waiting on for some of the stuff that we had, and they haven't got going, and we're smoking them. They're still in 2 years, and we've done a lot more than they have. And there's a lot of those people have egos, and they're like, well, I don't have time, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, what we just did with the glues and adhesive section, we're going to rock this place, man. It's great, all the way from what everybody did, the charts, the explanations for what you did for the field repairs, unprecedented. And that was bitchin'. It really was. It was like, again, you're involved and it just worked. So, thank you.
Well, you leading it didn't hurt. You know, every once in a while, cracking the whip was great.
Yeah, well, you know, like I said, Chuck says, it's going to be a 2-year project. I said, Chuck, my goal is by the end of the year. He says, you're going to piss a lot of people off. I said, Chuck, I want it in for next year. I said, I can take it. I can take that. And you know what? We did it in 11 months. So we got it done, and it was done correctly. Everybody cooperated, and it was incredible. Thank you, by the way.
Thank you. Well, how can people get in touch with you if they need to get in touch with you?
Just espsales.net, or they can, very Googleable. They can find me in San Jose, California.
All right.
If they're up there. But
anything
thank
else
you so
you want to
much
talk
for
about?
having me on, man.
You got it.
Thank you,
David.
For allowing me to be on the Sureshine Network.
Please. You're welcome anytime.
Thank you.
All the time.
Take care, folks.
Thank you very much.